It is now August 8th. It has been officially about a week and a half since I took and passed my NCLEX for registered nurse. I started studying officially June 19th, I believe it was. I have my calendar next to me so I can refer back. I had made a video a few weeks back about how I was planning on studying for the NCLEX, but things changed. I saw so many videos on different resources people were using for how they studied for the NCLEX, the day of NCLEX, what they recommended to use, and I really took that information to heart. I saw literally over 100 videos, guys. I watched so many because it just really calmed me. It really calmed me to see that other people were going through the same mindset as I was, that I wasn't going crazy. It really calmed me and made me even more excited and motivated me to keep studying when I saw other people who were just as close as I was to finishing. About 90% of them said UWorld was the way to go. They highly recommended it. 15-20% of people said that they recommended the Kaplan review with the Kaplan book and all the Kaplans as a resource, and a handful of people talked about Hearst. Like 2% of the videos I watched talked about ATI in any aspect. I did have ATI through my school, and ATI, the package that we had, it was ATI, and I have access to it technically until I think at the end of the year. I think it's 6 months after you graduate, just in case you decide to take longer to take your exam, which is perfectly fine. And we also had access to the Board Vitals cubing. My study plan started on June 17. June 11 was when I walked at my pinning ceremony. On June 17, I purchased UWorld and did 25 questions, and then I psyched myself out and didn't do questions and didn't actually start until Wednesday, June 19th. So I purchased the 60-day access to the cubing, and it came with one self-assessment. I believe it was $130, I think it was. I've been working this entire time, so for me, I thought it was a little expensive, but based off solely the fact that everybody was using UWorld and passing and spoke very highly of UWorld, I thought it was definitely worth it, and it didn't seem like a steep price for me. I wanted to make sure that I was going to study efficiently. I wanted to pass it on the first try, and I felt like UWorld was going to help me do that. I was going to use my ATI comprehensive textbook, so I had it next to me, but I never actually used it. The two sources I always used were UWorld, cubing, and the Mike Klemic audios that I didn't get until a month after I started my study. So from June 19th through July 4th, I did 75 questions every single day. I think I took maybe 2 days total off, as a break. I didn't designate a single day out of the week to take as a break because I just didn't feel like I needed to. It would take me about 3 to 4 hours to complete the 75 questions because I was writing out the rationales, and that would take up a lot of my time. I only work Tuesday through Thursday. I work 8 hours each of those days though. I got home, I would do my 75 questions, and I wouldn't have much time for anything else. But from Friday through Monday, I had the time to do 75 questions every day and still hang out with my family, still go out to breakfast, still play board games. It was fine. On July 1st, I had some questions on how I was supposed to register for the NCLEX and how I was supposed to be receiving my ATT, because I had not received it yet, and it had been a little over 2 weeks at that point, so I thought something was up. So I started asking questions, I was doing my research, and I talked about that in the previous video. But basically, I was contacting some of my peers, and one of them told me that she was going to be using the Mike Klemic audios. I asked her if she could send them to me, and she did, which was very kind of her. But I also found a YouTuber here, someone who shared how they studied for NCLEX, has a playlist of all his audios, and in that playlist, it's a whole chain, guys, sorry, but in that playlist, one of the videos, or I think all of the videos, have access to the Google Doc Drive version of the yellow book and blue book. So I had access to everything through this YouTube channel that I will post down below just so you guys have the link. Hopefully this girl still has them up, but it was great because all the audios were exactly the same, and the books were exactly the same as what my classmates sent me through email. So on July 4th, I in the evening, I flew out to Indiana because I was going to go visit some family. At the gate, while I was waiting for my flight to board, during the flight and during my layover, because I had a layover going and I had a layover coming, I was able to listen to these lectures. And there's 9 lectures, and they're each about an hour to 2 hours long, and they're very in-depth. This guy does a great job. They're a little bit, like a teeny bit outdated, because he did film these videos 2004 or 2009. One of those. I was a little skeptical because I thought, okay, his information could be wrong, because 10 years of science stuff can change in 10 years. So I was listening through, and everything, like except for like 1% of the information, sounded accurate as to what I had learned in nursing school and as to what I was reading, like if I would refer back to it with my ATI comprehensive book or based off the questions I was getting on UWorld. Everything correlated. So all the information is accurate, except there's like 2 or 3 things that he says that you're like, oh, actually, dude, it's this now. I can't remember them at the top of my head, but I honestly don't remember stuff that quickly, that well. So if I was able to pick up on it, like you'll be able to pick up on it too. These lectures are older, but they're still relevant. There is just like a 1% of the information is not that important / not accurate anymore, but you will pick up on it because it's stuff that's sort of obvious that it's not correct. So it's fine. I used them throughout that weekend that I was out of town. I didn't really do questions that weekend because I felt like questions, you have to be reading it, I have to be actively like looking through the answers, thinking through the answers. It took a lot more brain power for me to be doing questions. So I was gone for about 4 or 5 days, and I was able to be listening to these lectures during that time because we had a long drive from the airport to my aunt's house. We had a long drive from my aunt's house to like their beach that they have. July 3rd, I was able to register for my exam, and I decided to do it at the end of the month, so I did it on July 29th. So starting July 8th, I did 100 questions every single day. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, I think I allowed myself to do 75 questions, and then because those were the days that I worked, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I made myself do 100 questions fully and was trying to get at least half a lecture in. I was able to listen to all of the Mike Clemic audios once fully, and then I had 4 of them that were like my top favorites that I felt like I was getting the most information out of them. I listened to those 2 more times. It was the cardiac and pharmacology one, the labs one. Prioritization and delegation is the last lecture, and that's my favorite out of all 9 because I felt I got the most out of that one. That one's pretty long though, it's 2 hours. July 20th, I completed the entire UWorld cubing. I had about 900 questions that were incorrect that I thought I would restudy and retake as many as I could in order to keep studying questions. On July 22nd, it was exactly a week away from taking my NCLEX, and since I had already completed the entire UWorld cubing, I thought this was the perfect time to take my UWorld self-assessment. I mimicked the day as if I were going to have taken the NCLEX. I think I was more nervous for my self-assessment than I was for the actual NCLEX. I kept talking to myself every single day to calm myself down for the actual NCLEX. But for the self-assessment, I was so nervous and kind of cranky that morning because I just kept thinking, if this test tells me that I have a low chance of passing, if I'm like borderline, I will freak myself out and I should probably change my exam date. So I was settling. I'm like, as long as it tells me I have a high chance of passing, I think we can be okay. So that morning I went on a hike. I didn't touch a single book. I think I reviewed the Mike Clemic Yellow book. It's literally all the audios but in written format, and I can get through the entire book in 2 hours. And at 1 p.m. I drove myself to a library, turned off my telephone, tried not to drink as much water because I knew I wasn't going to have access to water as easily during the NCLEX. And I took my exam, and it was 100 questions. I got a very high chance of passing. My scores weren't that great, but it still said a very high chance of passing. So then Tuesday and Wednesday I did more questions. I started doing the last set of lectures, the last set of repeated lectures that I wanted to listen to. Thursday was the 25th. It was my birthday, so I took the entire day off. I didn't touch a single book. Friday I did questions. Saturday I did questions, and that was it. Sunday, they recommend you don't do anything the day before the NCLEX, and I thought, you know, at this point, I either know it or I don't, and I've always been that way all throughout my nursing school career, so I took that to heart. On Sunday, I decided definitely not do any questions, and I just felt during the afternoon I was just bored, and I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and review a little bit because I want to. So I read the Mike Clemic yellow book, the thing that takes me like 2 hours to get through, and I did notes on it. He had was a 60-page document, and I condensed it down into 4 pages back to back. I rewrote some notes, I read that yellow book, I went over labs, and that was that. Monday morning, I got ready, I didn't touch any books, I let myself review the 4 pages that I had rewritten notes on, and review labs. That's all I did. That took me maybe 30 minutes total. Other than that, I watched some of my favorite movies and just hung out at home, had some breakfast, kept watching the clock tick because I'm a morning person. But of course, there was no morning exam session, so I had to take my exam at 2 p.m., which was frustrating because I woke up at 7 a.m. Yeah. I think the Mike Clemic audios, the Mike Clemic book, I only looked at the yellow book. I never actually looked at the blue book because I think it's like way longer. And the UWorld Q Bank was what I used to study, and I wholeheartedly think that's what helped me pass because I did pass it. During the exam, I felt like I knew nothing, and I think that's also normal. I truly, truly, truly recommend it. UWorld, Mike Clemic, they're awesome. I'll link the girls' video and YouTube channel down below just so everybody has access to those audios and the yellow book and blue book that I keep talking about. I ended up studying for a total of 6 weeks. If you take off the days that I took off, it was probably a total of 5 weeks. So that's how I did it. I just wanted to take it fast, but I know everybody works at their own pace. Some people want to review the content, not just practice questions. I knew that I was going to drive myself nuts if I tried to do that. That's why I just went with the route of practicing questions. But everybody is completely different. This is just what I thought helped me, and this is how I had done it. But if there's any questions at all, feel free to ask me because I did ask around. Some classmates of mine were only going to be using ATI, Board Vital Q Bank. Some were just going to use the ATI Q Banks. But yes, that's it. I'm done with the NCLEX. And now I'm job searching. Wish me luck.